Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. Today I have a fun fold to share with you and it's called the bay window fold, and basically this little piece here hooks underneath the front there and then it creates this little bay window and you've got the 3D effect at the front here. So really it's a bit like a it escapes me at the moment. It'll come to me in a moment. Easel card. I knew it would come to me. Whereas an easel card would sort of like that, as I say, this one, and goes like that, and it would sit on the mantle shelf or wherever anybody displays their cards. And then there's your piece inside to write your message. So let's see how we go about making it. I've got my supplies and I'm using Mambo Melody, Night of Navy and Balmy Blue. Those are my colours. Lovely combination of colours there. So I've got my card base, and this is the piece that will go inside here to write my message. And then I've got 4 pieces of Night of Navy. 3, I can't remember how wide those are, but we're just gonna, they're like, so 1 3/8 by 4, and this one is 1 1/2 by 4. Now you don't need to remember all these measurements, because if you look below the video, you'll see a link to my blog, and if you click on that, it will take you exactly to this post, and I will put all the measurements there for you. We're going to start off by doing a bit of stamping, and the three panels here, they're all stamped, creating your own piece of decorative paper. And so I'm going to lay my pieces out, and I'm just going to kind of stick them to, not stick them, but just lay them side by side. Now you could go ahead and just have one piece of paper, stamp it and then cut it, but I've just done it slightly differently here. Now my stamp set today is Two-Tone Flora. This is a lovely stamp set. It has 2-step stamping, and I just love the extra little bits of flowers and things that are in there. And it also has a coordinating die set called the Two-Tone Flora dies, and I shall be using those as well. So I've got my colours all lined up here. Now when I create my piece of decorative paper, I'm going to start with my largest stamp first. So I've got the Balmy Blue along with the this large leaf, and I'm going to stamp across all 3 pieces together like that, and maybe a little bit up there. So there's that piece. Then my next size stamp is this little cluster of blossoms, so we're going to pop that in as well. And this is a Melon Mambo ink. This one needs to have a tiny bit more pink on it, I think. And then my final colour for this bit of stamping here is Night of Navy. And this stamp is like the little stamens here that go in the little blossom stamp, but I'm actually just going to use them as a decorative piece. We're just going to fill in the gaps and then a little bit down here, and I think I'm done. Yes. Okay. So there's my stamping there. And I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive, and I'm going to stick these on the 3 narrowest pieces of cardstock. And I've just cut them so they've got a really thin margin. I just thought that, you know, when I was putting the card together, it just looked a little bit more elegant to have the pieces with just a very small border. So there's my 3 pieces there, and I'm just going to set those aside to just dry for a few moments. So that goes up there. Now I have my centerpiece. I'm going to do my centerpiece here, and I'm also going to do this piece inside. So that's simply stamped. So we're going to stamp again with the little blossom for the inside. And then this is my piece for the front. So I'm making this birthday. Now the stamp set Two-Tone Flora doesn't have any greetings in it. So this one, Happy Birthday, actually comes from the Pansy stamp set. But you could have a one in your stash. And we're just gonna pop it down first, and I stamp my greeting first just to make sure that I leave enough room for it. I've been caught out before where I've gone gaily stamping along only to find there's no room for my greeting. So I always pop that down first, and then we're back with the blue. I'm just going to put a nice leaf down there and pop another one up here. And while I've got my ink, I'm going to do my envelope as well. So nice stamped envelope there. So those are some of my other pieces. Now I'm going to just share with you how to do the 2-step stamping. And I did use this stamp set on a video a few weeks ago. So I'm just going to show you briefly. So each flower has a pair. So it's like an outline pair and an inside. Sorry, an outline stamp and an inside stamp. And then for the 2 flowers I'm using here, there's my outside and there's my inside. And I can just show you again in the stamp set. There's the 2 that I'm using, and I'm using this one. And then there are 2 other stamps in there as well. I prefer to start with the outline. So I'm going to do that in my darkest colour. And just hold that down for a few moments. And then I'm going to do the second flower. And though this is the little blossom. And then I do my filler piece. So I'm filling in with the lighter blue, the balmy blue. Now, if you look on the outline, can you see this sort of little bean shape here? Now, if you look on the filler stamp, you'll actually see that there's a little bean shape in there as well. And those are the two bits that we're going to line up to make sure we've got our flower going. So I can just see it through there. Just let a moment for the ink to pass over onto the card. And there you can see I've got my lovely flower. Now for the little flower, you'll see we've got the little rings here, and that's sort of like where the stamens would be. And if you look on the stamp, there's actually some little dots in there as well. And I'm going to line those up. And press down, and there we've got our lovely blossom. So I find it easier to do it that way, to do my dark part first and then my light part. Then you can use the dies to cut out. Now, to save a little bit of time, I've already cut some of my pieces out, but when you look at the dies, this piece here has got the sort of quite a deep V, and then opposite it is sort of a shallowy U, and that lines up like that, and you would put that through your cut and emboss machine. Now for the other piece, I found the best way was to look for this. Can you see there's it's quite a distinctive shape, and I found that this is the same shape, and so then I can just line that up and put that through my cutting machine. Now I also did the same for the little blossom. So I stamped it, and then I used that little stamp here that we used for our decorative, to build our decorative piece of paper. And then there's a die to cut that out as well. So those were the three pieces that I did, and I did those ahead of time to save some time. Now my panel, my decorative panel, is cut out of balmy blue, and for this I use the Scallop Contours dies, and this has got a lovely selection of panels that are all got scalloped edges. Really nice one. And so I'm just going to run that through my little machine. So for this one, I'm going to use my #1 plate, and then I'm going to put down a #2 plate. And I'm going to set this back just a tiny little bit from the end of the white plate. Then I'm going to put my die and my piece of card down on top there. And then I'm going to put my top plate, another #2, and I'm going to have that level with the white one underneath. And so you can see that middle one, it's just pulled back a little bit further. And then I'm going to pop it in my machine and crank it through. And I like to crank it through slowly, because then it gives the cutting blades on the die a chance to get pushed through the cardstock. So I know that some people have had issues using their cut and emboss machine, it not sort of going in, but if you just drop that second plate back slightly, and what happens is that the machine will then squash those two and they'll be able to go through. And there we've got our pretty little scalloped panel. All right, so we're now at our assembly stage now, really. I'm going to take this little piece of white that we stamped, and I cut it so it exactly fits inside that stitched rectangle, which is really pretty. I've got a tiny little bit there. So that's that one piece. And now we're going to go for the card base. So I've actually pre-scored this. And again, if you look on my measurements, you're on my blog, you'll see the measurements. So this is actually, this first score is halfway on your card. So this is 11 by 4 1/4. And I'm just going to put in a score. And then I've got a 3/8 score line here. And I'm going to lay that back on itself and put the score line in. And then my next score line, I'm going to bring forward and pop that in. And then I'm going to open up and I'm going to bring the next score line down. And then this last little 3/8 score line goes up. And in a minute, you'll see that when all of this is stuck down, there's our bay window. We're going to need some double-sided tape. I'm going to pop some on the center 3/8 tiny little panel there. And we're just going to stick that down. The reason I'm using double-sided tape is that it's stronger than the other adhesives. It'll also, I don't have to wait for it to dry like I would if I use liquid. And this particular part of the card is likely to get sort of quite a lot of opening and shutting, and therefore it needs something strong. So there we've got our little tiny little book fold really there. Then we're going to take 2 of our 3 panels like this, and I'm going to attach those with liquid. Like that. And then with my last panel with decorated paper, this is going to go in basically what would be the inside. And this little piece, this little 3/8 flap will tuck underneath it. Now, in order for it to just stick up slightly rather than be too flat, we're going to add some Stampin' Dimensions, and I only want them on the back of this side. So it'll be a little bit clearer in a minute when I get there. Like that. And I'm going to just leave a little border. I've cut them so it will leave us a little border like this. And my dimensionals are under that side. There's nothing under this side. So when I do that, then I've got my little piece to tuck under like that. While my card is open, I can go ahead and put the little liner in, the To You, Love From Me. And then this is a piece of Night of Navy. This is the 1.5. It's slightly wider than these panels because that center panel is wider. And I'm just going to lay it down. And then with my dimensions again, I'm going to put them down on the center panel. doing it this way, I know that the sticky is not going to go anywhere over here. If I try to put them on this center panel here, I might sort of miss where they are, where, you know, and if I get them too far over here, they'll stick to this side panels and it won't have the great effect that I'm looking for. Now I'm just going to center this up, center there, and that side and that side. Press firmly, and there's my center panel, and you can see it kind of sticks out and gives a bit more dimension, but it's all perfectly in the right footprint of the card to put it in the post. Now we're just left with our decoration. So as I said, I already did my stamping and die cutting, and I've also cut some extra pieces, these extra pieces of leaves out from another die set, which escapes me at the moment. I can't remember what it's called, but look below and it will be on my blog. So this one, I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive, and I want this one to stand up above the that blue panel, but it needs to stay inside the footprint of the card. So you can see that that is sort of stood up above. And then I've got this little pink one, so I'm going to stick that down with liquid as well. And then I have my small blossom, and I'm just going to stick that with a dimensional like this. Now looking at it, these are getting a weeny bit lost on one another, so that's when I come in with these little leafy bits, and I'm going to put a few of them, and all I've done is die cut a few of them in the colours, but I also did some in silver foil as well. The silver foil spoke to me. And let's see, I've got a blue one there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach them and, well, slide them underneath the flowers like that. And I just want to sort of make sure that it's clear that they are these are sort of two separate flowers. I don't want to lose too much of my happy birthday there. Let's use a navy one. Let's pop that, maybe pop that under there. And then our silver ones. So this is one of my little bits of bling. Let's see, where shall I pop that one? Maybe I'll stick it underneath there. And then this final little one here, I'm going to just tuck it underneath like that. I've got some other bits, but I don't want to put any more on. And then I'm just going to use a couple of 3 rhinestones, just a few. And I'll pop them in the center of a couple of my flowers, but not too many. And there we are, our lovely bay window card. Now, I also did one exactly the same as a Valentine's card. So you could also, as I say, use this as a, this has got squashed a bit, as a Valentine version, and that's using the Country Floral bundle. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed this this lovely fun fold. I certainly enjoyed sharing it with you. If you've enjoyed it, please go ahead, give me a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe, perhaps you'll go ahead and do that and leave any comments. I'd love to read them. So until next time, I'll look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye for now.